What's going on, everyone? BouseFeenux here, and today I have got for you probably the best news regarding For Honor that I've heard in nearly 3 months. I was given the privilege of seeing the upcoming roadmap of changes coming to the game here in the very near future, and sweet fucking Jesus, is there a lot of stuff being changed. Now, before we jump in, know that they're going to be covering the points we're talking about today in detail on the dev stream, so if you need to hear it from the horse's mouth, I highly suggest watching that as well, and I'll leave that link for you in the description below. But first, before any of that, a huge piece of news. Ubisoft has publicly released their MAU, or monthly active users. This is how many people have been playing For Honor, and I am super excited to say that the number of active players in June was over 1.4 million. That means that every shitty gaming journalism channel and publication that jumped on the For Honor is Dead bandwagon can go eat a giant bag of dicks. You were poorly informed and did terrible research. So remember when I told you guys not to believe the Steam player base and the 90% of players were gone thing or whatever that was? Well, here's the proof on that. But gloating aside, let's get into the real topic of today's video, which is that there are a number of massive changes coming to the game via the PTR for us to test out and give feedback on before they enter the game. So let me reiterate that. These changes you're about to hear will be tested by us in the PTR before they make it to the game. Now, there's a ton of great stuff coming aside from this, but some of it is under NDA for a little while longer. Now, what I can talk about today are the changes to the defensive meta that we've been waiting for, so let's jump in. First up, parry is being reworked from the ground up. Light parry frame advantage is going to be reduced to be consistent with heavy parry. This means that if your light attack gets parried, you'll be able to recover before taking a free heavy attack from your opponent. Not really sure how I feel about this one. Light attacks are harder to parry and should be more rewarding to do so, but this kind of combines with some of the other changes and things start to make a little bit more sense as we move on, so let's continue. But next for parries, a guard break is no longer guaranteed off of a parry, and parrying early consistently now opens up your defense for a wider window of attack. All of these parry changes make parries a lot more situational and a lot less punishing. This seems pretty harsh now, but stay with me, we gotta look at the whole picture with all these changes. So moving on, let's talk about stamina. It's also getting a huge rework. First, stamina regen on block and dodge are being paused. This means that your stamina will stop regenerating when you take a hit or dodge, so you'll have to really think about when you want to stick or move. Now, for the frame-specific data, dodging left, right, or dashing forward will pause your stamina regeneration for 400 milliseconds. Dodging backward gives you a 600 milliseconds pause, and if your stamina is regenerating and you block during that, it's a 300 millisecond pause to stamina regen, and a regular block at full stamina is a 500 millisecond pause. And since we're on the topic of stamina, let's talk about how out of stamina is being changed. With the coming changes, you'll be a lot more vulnerable when you're out of stamina. So for the first change, if your opponent blocks your light attacks while they're out of stamina, your light attack chain will continue. So normally, if your light attack is blocked, it bounces right off the enemy and interrupts the chain, right? Well, now, if this change goes through and they're out of stamina, this will no longer happen. On top of all this, though, dodging and dashing are now 200 milliseconds longer to make you more vulnerable to guard breaks when you're out of stamina. Also, dodging and dashing while out of stamina now no longer have superior block or deflect properties. And lastly, getting hit by melee attacks while out of stamina doesn't drain stamina, it just pauses the stamina regen. So damn, this seems super rough, right? Seems like Lawbringers, Warlords, Centurions, and Conquerors will pretty much have their way with you if you run out of stamina. Well, remember that 1, your opponent will run out of stamina just like you do, and 2, these changes need to be extreme. They have to dial everything up to 11 on the ridiculousness scale so we can see what needs to be turned down. Now, there's also a reason this stuff is being put on the PTR and not into the main game right away, so bear with me here and be patient before you start losing your mind, because yeah, some of this shit is pretty scary sounding, but there is a plan to all this. Anyway, moving on though, let's talk about chip damage for a second. The short of it is being increased to 18% for any attack. Now, what I'm assuming that means is that a blocked attack will do 18% of its total potential damage to the target blocking, which would make sense. So we'll see what that actually means when that change rolls around, but let's move on to the next point, Revenge. Revenge is getting its missing pieces filled in from the last update, and the first change is that Revenge activation can't be interrupted by melee attacks. I've died in ganks because of this so many times. You'll go to pop Revenge, and someone gets a hit in real fast that kills you, and you'll swear you popped Revenge, but there you are, lying on the ground dead. Well, next, while in Revenge, incoming melee attacks will not interrupt attack startups. My interpretation of this is that all of your attacks in Revenge will have hyper armor on startup. Now, in addition to this, my notes here say that outgoing melee attacks don't unbalance the enemy. If this means what I think it is, this is fucking huge. Like, headbutts, shoves, centurion kicks, and so on won't knock you down while they're in Revenge mode, because as it stands now, they do, and it's really annoying. And hopefully this means no more infinite Warlord cutscenes where you just get headbutted and heavy attacked on the ground until you're dead. Now, additionally, there's more, so stay with me here. Your Revenge shield is increased from 50% of your health all the way up to 70% of your health. And lastly, this one is fucking crazy. Outgoing attacks cannot be parried if you're in Revenge. If this isn't some sort of typo, it basically means that when you're in Revenge mode, people can't parry your attacks. Sweet Jesus, unblockables are going to be so insanely nasty. But Revenge will finally serve its purpose, to get people off of you in a gank situation. If you give a raider Revenge and he starts throwing unblockables, you will pretty much have to run away or get hit. Now, in a gank situation, this is fine, but geez, dude, these Revenge changes sound really rough if you give someone Revenge in 1v1. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And that being said, I do have a note here that says Revenge is being removed from the dual game mode, so you won't have to deal with it at all there, but that is it for Revenge. Let's move on to our last few points. First of which is that we're finally getting a fix for flicker zones. To do that, they're removing the zone attack input buffer where you could press RT and RB slightly apart from one another, which is what caused the flicker. So that's one less tech problem we'll have to deal with in game, and thank God for that. But lastly, they're finally cracking down on dual cheesing. They'll be adding an anti-runaway system, which I don't have the details on, and moving forward with that, a timeout victory will now be awarded to the player with the most health instead of ending in a draw. But that is it for now. That is my whole list of changes that I've got that I can tell you guys about, and rewatch the video if you have to in order to get everything, and I'll leave my bullet points down below for you guys so you can get an idea of what's going on, and follow along with the video if you want. But damn, guys, these are some pretty extreme changes. It needs to happen though. Some of these will suck, but like I said, everything is going on the PTR first for us to get a feel for and give feedback on. Now, as soon as I get concrete dates on that, I'll be sure to let you all know, but get ready to be really bad at the game again for a little bit. It's gonna be amazing. My hope is that it'll feel just like the beta again, where everyone sucked and we were all having a pretty good time, but you should know that this isn't everything. Like I said, I mentioned at the start of the video, I have a few more pieces of information, and some of them are going to absolutely blow your minds. I can't wait until I can tell you about them. But in the meantime, all I can say is be patient with the game and start practicing. If you uninstalled, now is a very, very good time to come back to the game. You're not going to want to miss these changes that are coming up. But that is all for today, guys. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like down below. And if you're new here, get subscribed to the channel for all the For Honor news you can handle. There's going to be a lot of it over the next few months, and you don't want to miss it. Additionally, if you haven't already, join my Discord by using the link in the description below. And until next time, I am BouseFeenux. I'll see you at the next one. And as always, thank you so much for watching.